As at the 1960s, Nigeria was the largest exporter of palm oil in the world. Proceeds from it were used to develop eastern Nigeria. But with the arrival of the crude oil boom, exportations of groundnuts, cocoa, and palm oil declined significantly. Successive governments made feeble attempts to revive agriculture, but failed. Nigeria, and indeed eastern Nigeria, lost the huge revenue agriculture would have brought. Chief Willie Obiano, the executive governor of Anambra State, knew that agriculture was the lifeline of any country. He therefore made agriculture his #1 pillar out of the 5 pillars of his administration's developmental strategy. This was helped by the fact that he also hails from an agrarian area, Aguleri.
If you talk about governors who are performing in agriculture in Nigeria, talk about 3 governors, you must mention Obiano. Discuss with the Minister of Agriculture, you talk of Obiano. Discuss with his assistants, they will tell you go to Anambra and see what Anambra is doing.
Dr. Willie Obiano, Boko Dike is God sent. We call him a lot of names, agri-friendly governor, alert governor. He came in and revolutionized agriculture. We've been here for years. We know actually what the previous governors did when they came in. He came in and a lot of things changed. And good enough, he came out from agrarian area. Up there, are the people actually more or less the food basket of Anambra State.
It is important to note that before the Willie Obiano Green Revolution, agriculture was relegated in the state and was only seen as a peasant endeavor. Anambra became content with being famous for merchandising other people's products. Agriculture was not mechanized. Production was mostly done manually, and the farmers' yield and output were poor. Youth participation in agriculture was at an all-time low, and most of the farmers were elderly.
Agriculture, undoubtedly, is the first pillar, because any nation that cannot feed itself cannot be boasting of any kind of development. You cannot be going and borrowing of food you want to eat and be talking of the development. The first thing to do is development through food. That is why the first place that God placed Adam and Eve was in the garden, a garden that was naturally endowed with food. So food is always #1, even with God. And that is why it is also #1 with our governor.
Agriculture was in a poor state. But when he came in, he was able to sensitize, he was able to regenerate, the vigor that is needed in agriculture.
In Anambra State alone, there were only 309,120 hectares of arable land under cultivation. This is just about 55% of the arable lands in the state. The remaining 45% of the lands were allowed to lie fallow because of inactivity. The major crops in the state are rice, cassava, yam, oil palm, maize, and vegetables. To realize the dream of making Anambra State the leading player in global and national food markets in Nigeria, Chief Willie Obiano sought for very competent hands to work with him. In line with this thinking, he appointed Mr. Afam Mbanefo, the Commissioner for Agriculture in the state. Mr. Mbanefo immediately keyed into the vision of the governor and introduced steps that reformed agriculture in Anambra State, such that his strategy became a model for Nigeria.
Before the inception of the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture, we practice agriculture in a normal way, see it as a normal farming business, go to farm, cultivate, and go home. But with the appointment of the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture, he came in with a new innovation, new highlight, new approach to agriculture. And that is what we call precision agriculture, where data, where ICT becomes the order of the day. And with so doing, we observe the fact that these have contributed immensely towards the growth of agriculture in Anambra State.
The commissioner is somebody that, if he sets a tax, he moves ahead of you. You need to quicken to meet up his pace. And I said, this is because of the support His Excellency Governor Obiano is giving him.
We were kind of blessed with a governor and a chief executive who understood agriculture as a future of this environment. And so we strategically looked at various channels that we were going to use to develop agriculture in the state. So prior to this administration, agric was not actually seen as a wealth-driven sector. Agric was seen as a usual day-to-day, business as usual development. Coming in of this administration with the chief executive, Chief Dr. Willie Obiano, who come from an agrarian environment, which is a plus to this administration, now looked at it strategically and made agriculture his number one pillar. And that actually began the story of agric development and revolution in Anambra State.
The ministry under Afam Banefo was rejuvenated in line with this developmental plan. He ensured staff and administrative efficiency through capacity building. With him, the Obiano administration pumped blood back into the lifeline of the ministry. In order to achieve further desired results according to the blueprint, two-pronged approach were used by Governor Willie Obiano. These include public-private partnerships, PPP, with large-scale investors and off-takers, and the provision of support to small-scale farmers. Through the large-scale approach, $1 billion worth of investment have been attracted in the state and have provided 1,200 direct and indirect jobs and an investment of 5 billion naira. Through small-scale approach, inputs were provided to farmers yearly as encouragement and support. 1.2 billion naira was disbursed to farmers under CACS in 2015, and 2 billion naira was also disbursed to farmers in 2016.
Actually, one of the things the governor did that made us to be where we are today is that he encouraged private investors into agriculture. The private people came in. If I tell you the quantum of money that has entered Anambra State from the time he started this agric revolution, it's enormous. He knows that if these people are given the chance to come in and then actually do one or two things in agriculture, that will be better for us. You name them. Consalis, you are aware what he's doing at Ayamelum. Linden, if you go to Ibariam, you see the number of chicken that is there, and equally the eggs that are coming out from that angle too, and many others, and many more are still coming in. So the thing is that actually he saw that for us to get it right, we have to involve private hands.
The state government inaugurated the Land Acquisition Committee to help cut the bottlenecks of acquiring large expanse of land for agriculture. As at today, 65,000 hectares of land are available for investors and smallholder farmers. The ministry also established Community Farm Development Partnership with some farmer associations and off-takers spread across the local governments of the state.
Now, the whole idea was for us to go into communities. Instead of going in and acquiring the land as a state, we'll have a relationship we broker with the state through the Ministry of Lands and Land Acquisition Committee. The communities are coming up, providing land for agricultural development. So the idea is communities will provide the land for agricultural use for nothing less than 10 to 15 years. We will go into that and deploy what we call a cluster development system, to engage our farmers within those communities. So it's developing agriculture in the community, within the communities. Just for example, in this space of land that we are in today, you realize that what we're doing is develop cluster, have a cluster solution deployed across the whole chain. And with a cluster design and development, you have complete shared services where irrigation services, input provision in fertilizer, tractor services, everything all in one place. And then in terms of capacity development, it's done in one location. So farmers who are in cooperatives and in farmer groups will benefit from this solution.
In this partnership, the ministry provides inputs including tractor services and certified seeds. It hands over the farms to communities to own and manage as government provides support and empowerment. The ministry also arranges offtake to buy off the produce and put the money in the hands of the communities. There is increased production of maize, rice, cassava and vegetables, livestock, aquaculture and fishery in the state as a result.
The area of patronizing Anambra State farmers, getting their products bought by the state government. It became a clincher. And the area of supporting our farmers, linking them up to off-takers for export. Those two things have been wonderful for the government. And because of that, you find out that if you now go, the standard of living of our farmers has greatly improved. And this is no rocket science. This is no political talk. Go down to Ayamelum, go down to Obara, go down to Anambra East and West, go down to even Orumba, where rice is being produced. If you take a trip there, you'll marvel. Some few years ago, you'll see motor houses and farmers who conducted their children to school or to hospitals. But the story has all changed.
With his wealth of experience and background in ICT, Mr. Afam Manefo, as the commissioner, brought about a paradigm shift in the Ministry of Agriculture. He introduced the landmark Smart and Precision policy, which helped to marry the ministry with ICT, sparking innovation and creativity, which has taken agriculture to greater heights in Anambra State today.
When Afam Manefo came in, of course, with solid support from the governor, he brought in a lot of innovations. The office we are looking at, Control Center, wasn't here before now. He started it from the scratch, from structure to bringing in materials, to bringing in ideas. And then we started building the data from number one farmer to 100-something thousand farmers to 112,000 farmers we have today. It wasn't an easy work.
This idea of bringing ICT into agriculture have skyrocketed us from 0 to 100. And that is why in the country today, Anambra State is taking number one. We don't just say what we don't do. We show you what we are saying and we do what we are saying.
Through the approval and support of His Excellency, Governor Willie Obiano, the Agro Control and Monitoring Center, the E-Agriculture Center, was established, which is unprecedented in Nigeria. With it, the ministry can now monitor and evaluate agricultural production. This went past just data collation to information management, showing detailed granular information of gender participation, age range, and academic qualification of farmers, including biometrics and geographic information of farms for traceability for export activities. It would receive information and complaints from farmers and then respond in real time.
We have set up an e-agriculture center where His Excellency had funding that supported us very closely. And that in that environment, we have a tractor monitoring system, social media activities, and the farmer management activity. Within the farmer management activities, the platform has got various models. Communication to our farmers, management of farmer profiling, and biodata.
Right now, by the click of the button, you can have information you need to have as regards to farmers doing agriculture in the state. You can know how many rice farmers we have. You can know how many cassava farmers we have. And this, you can also extract it as a report, as a working document. It also helps the governor when he's making his budgets as regarding agriculture. He now knows how much extrapolation he needs to do as regards to agriculture. This has also helped us to do what is called precise agriculture. Right now, we can now say 1 hectare of rice can give so and so metric tons. These are definite agriculture, so it helps a lot in doing the agricultural plan in the state.
Many states have come here to look at what we are doing. No state in the federation has something like that. If you go to that, just a click of the button, you can get information across.
As we speak, is the model for World Bank projects. Fatima has adopted it as its nationwide prototype for knowledge-based information dissemination farming.
The application, Farmer Information Management Systems, FIMS, was developed going by international commodity exchange requirements, which includes traceability and mapping the farms into the platform. The platform will hold farmers' database and help for easy reporting and analysis of activities of the farmers and their farmlands. This is phenomenal and a first of its kind in Nigeria.
That's why they call him the Digital Commissioner. Right now, we have the control center where all the biodata of all farmers in Anambra State are registered. We have their pictures there. We have the location of their farms. We have the extent, the capacity of the farms they have, what they crop.
Before the coming of Governor Obiano, there was agriculture, but we did not have farmers' data. That means that we were able to achieve some things without actually recording what was achieved and where and how it was achieved.
What has this office helped us do? It has helped us do a lot of things. Okay? Right now, it brought in the knowledge of IT, information technology, into agriculture in the sense that right now, from here, you can message all the farmers in the state. From here, you can do a robocall to all the farmers in the state. When the governor wants to have a message passed to all the farmers, you just need to record his voice and boom, it gets to every farmer. We'll have their email address, we'll have their addresses, we'll have their farm locations, we'll have their GPS coordinates. So it's down to root agriculture that we're doing, precision agriculture. In this now, you can now be able to trace to know how many plots of land the farmer is doing. It helps. Okay, especially with the land acquisition committee set up by the governor, it helps to know that this is the amount of land cultivated. This is the amount of land that needs to be prepared for agriculture.
You see, we are developing an app whereby we can speak on phone with an off-taker from New Zealand, from Australia, talking about his desire to pick up fluted pumpkin, ogo, from Anambra State, which they know is highly nutritious, organic too. And at the tap of the button, he can see that very farm, see the capacity we have, see all the qualities that could be imputed into that farm.
When we went to find out the data about the number of youth in agriculture, it was during this tenure that we were able to capture that really the agricultural workforce is fast declining and dying, because it is people that are now between the ages of 60 and 80, and they are the people that are retiring and going. And then the labor force, people that are youthful, were not captured in agriculture. And it is through the data that was raised and generated in the Ministry of Agriculture that we now started targeting programs that will mainstream the youth into youth in agriculture.
So all in all, you could see that ICT had created a different curve in terms of measuring our activities in agriculture.
Through the successful public-private partnership and the huge government support to community farming, the Obiano administration commenced the rice revolution, a type never seen before in Nigeria.
For the first time in this government, we have the Anambra brand for rice.
You are aware of the popular Anambra rice?
Everywhere now is Anambra rice, Anambra rice.
Communities began to produce rice successfully alongside large-scale farms. The result was a bountiful supply of Anambra rice. In the Anambra are today enjoying in commercial quantity the very food they grow on their soil. A phenomenal feat accomplished by the visionary leadership of His Excellency Governor Willie Obiano and a productive Ministry of Agriculture led by Mr. Afam Mbanefo.
Part of the mandate that we were given as a ministry and myself is to increase participation of our farmers, primarily the youths and women in agriculture, manage the rural migration, community-based agricultural development. So we started various programs that would gear towards attracting our youths, our women, and increasing participation and also increasing land utilization. We started programs like Community Farm Development Program. We also engaged all our programs like FADAMA, Value Chain, Roofing, ATAPs, and the government through His Excellency consistently had paid their counterpart funding. And what we had worked is getting all the programs to collaboratively work together to drive the increase in that participation, more like inclusiveness, getting that to work in the system. And driving that in partnership with all the ministries and the donor agencies that we have had given us so much heads up appreciably to where we are today.
The state government partnered with Koshed Farms, a subsidiary of Koschari's Group, for commercial rice processing at Anaku. In this partnership, there was a production capacity of 60,000 metric tons per year. It also operated on a 2,800 hectares of rice farm with flat irrigation facility. The Anambra State Government also partnered with Joseph Agro Limited in a $150 million PPP commercial irrigated rice production investment for the rehabilitation of Omor Rice Mill and irrigated rice production at Omor and Ufuma. The farm has expected output of 100,000 metric tons per annum and a mill size of 120,000 metric tons. In all, the Anambra agri sector has attracted investments from 7 companies valued at $1.011 billion and have pushed local rice production from 80,000 metric tons to 345,000 metric tons, surpassing the 320,000 metric tons consumed in Anambra State per annum.
Investors saw Anambra one safe haven to invest. That's the mission and vision of His Excellency, to allow investment to come in and settle in and invest, a safe haven for investment to thrive. For example, we do have likes of Koschari's, who has almost about 2,800 hectares of rice environment too. We have Joseph Agro. We have Linden Farms, who invest in poultry. We have so many other investors who are keyed into agriculture. And based on that, we also now keyed so much into attracting youths to get into agriculture. So we looked at various backward integration schemes.
We have encouraged a lot of investors to come into Anambra State. We have a lot of investors that have been shying away from Anambra State, but because of the security being offered by these state governments, the investors are happy to be here, and they are helping us to develop the agricultural sector.
We are giving kudos to the Commissioner of Agriculture, Afam Mbanefo, who has been piloting the phase of the State Minister of Agriculture. And in the process, we are giving more kudos to the State Governor, Chief Willie Obiano, because he has been assisting us. For instance, in 2014-2015, we have a glut in rice mills. And we went into the air, and the governor and the commissioner, and they intervened. Since 2016 up to date, 2019, farmers are smiling.
I can talk from morning to night, and it won't be enough to exhaust all that this government have done for us. The governor has really helped us a great deal. They have provided and trained us in the use of the equipment called false bottom. We are many and doing great things. Every one of the 15 members are capable of paying up the counterparts funds because of the support we are getting from this government.
With the help of Obiano, all the farmers in Anambra State, precisely in this Ayamelm, we are more than happy, and everybody is rejoicing. So there is nobody. That is the reason why in the second tenor, everybody we just wait that Obiano must go the second time, because of what he did in the first time, the first tenor. We know that immediately that he came back in the second tenor, that everybody will smile better.
In the area of mechanization, initially tractor hirers were charging up to 35,000, even 40,000 naira to prepare 1 hectare of a rice field. The problem was presented at ESCO, and His Excellency gave an order that nobody should be charged more than 10,000 naira. You can see the subsidy. Farmers who are constrained due to resources can now pay as little as 10,000 naira to prepare 1 hectare of a rice field.
In line with the Agricultural Revolution program of the state government and in tandem with the local content policy of His Excellency, Chief Willie Obiano, the State Ministry of Agriculture has commenced mass assembling of local rice for distribution to civil servants, public servants, pensioners, and the less privileged as Christmas gifts. The targets received 1 bag each on every Christmas celebration.
His Excellency, every end of the year, supplies rice to the civil servants. So you're looking at thousands and thousands of bags of rice being given to all the civil servants. And the beauty of that is that these rice are being procured within the state from our farmers and our processors. So we broker that link. We make sure that the production is done well so that the processors, who now becomes the anchors, can pick that up.
The stoners, threshers, and parboilers were procured by the Obiano administration and distributed to farmers and processors. The rice was destoned, bagged, and branded as Anambra rice. The era of distribution of imported rice in the state is over, since the locally produced rice are more nutritious and has better aroma.
We have been able to add more value to rice processing, not just production. Apart from making sure that the rice being produced can compete favorably with the foreign rice. Because the rice variety that we are introducing here, Faro 44, Faro 52, these are long grain rice. And you know our people love long grain rice. These are rice varieties that have the same characteristics and even better than the foreign rice. And this is what we have introduced there. And not just that, we've been able to introduce standardization into the rice value chain. Standardization such that we now know the weight for the rice. We now have the stoners. We are not talking about having rice we are talking of stone-free rice, long grain rice that is bagged with a logo and a branded rice that can compete in this Anambra State, in Nigeria, and internationally.
In the area of livestock production, the state government partnered with Lindin Integrated Farms for the development of a modern integrated poultry and production of high-quality eggs and poultry meat in the state. Already, operations have commenced at Iboariam on the $61 million investment. Lindin ultra-modern poultry investment is being developed on a 75-hectare land size and is expected to provide over 1,200 direct and indirect employment. This is among other livestock farm establishments spread across the 3 senatorial zones of the state, which are all effects of the thriving public-private partnership of the Obiano administration.
The synergy between the government and the private sector, for example, Grand Series Limited, has yielded several fruits. I'll give you one instance. The Honorable Commissioner, Honorable Afam Imbanefo, requested that a fish feed plant be sited in Onitsha. Today, that has become a reality. Grand Series Limited built a standard world-class multi-million-dollar fish feed producing plant in Onitsha. That plant is feeding the whole South-South, Southeast, and Southwest. In fact, the factory in Onitsha is the biggest fish feed producing plant owned by Grand Series in the country.
The vision of making agriculture the number one pillar of the Obiano administration paid off and birthed the historic Anambra vegetable export.
First of all, the reports are there, and we practice transparency in the environment. What we have done is to strategically look at the development of agriculture in the state, and we took a very proactive step of making sure that we drive the sector with clear, detailed activities that would give us proper results.
This particular government is bent on making sure that agricultural products are do not just find markets within Nigeria, but that we build for export.
The state's Ministry of Agriculture, in furtherance of the state government's initiative through the private sector, successfully landed its vegetable produce, ugu and onugbu, into Europe on the 21st of January 2016 and yam in December 2017 to 2018. The vegetable export was done to certify the conditioning center and delivery of Anambra produce. By this, Anambra became the first state in Nigeria to export vegetables, ugu and onugbu, and successful yam export.
In fact, it will interest you to know that in 2016, January, February, into March, Anambra State was the first state to export vegetables to the UK. It's on record. And also what we exported was a highly nutritious vegetable. And since then, the demand both from the United States and from the UK has been there.
And also, His Excellency set up an export department in the ministry. So we have an export department who now drives all the activities. On top of that, we have developed, procured like some trucks, 3 trucks, cooling trucks, that aids farmers to move stuff to the airport for export.
The important thing about some of these vegetable exports is that they are globally certified, both by international certifying body and local, like the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. The essence of this certification is that they can go to any international market and pass through the standards. Because the moment they don't go through the standards, you find out that there might be rejection. And once there is rejection, the state, the group, that is the farmers, and or the off-takers will be blacklisted. So we take pains, it's a painstaking arrangement to make sure that what our farmers produce meet up with international standards.
The state has gone further to initiate training, certification, and networking for interested off-takers. The vegetable farmers are being trained on the right method of vegetable planting and use of organic fertilizer and pesticides.
We are talking about organic agriculture for exports because we know that conventional agriculture does not really attract so much export. So we have made sure that through this particular administration, we are keying into organic agriculture. We are poised within this administration to make sure that the farmers are trained in organic farming so that the products that they will get from their farms will be exported and sustain exports in Nigeria.
The green revolution of the Obiano administration, under the stewardship of Mr. Afam Mbanefo, has helped to tackle the unemployment crisis in the state and has initiated a vibrant youth empowerment program and helped to manage rural migration. These youths would be empowered to develop agricultural skills. Funds of over 300 million naira is also set aside with the Anambra State Small Business Agency, primarily for Anambra farmers.
At the completion of the e-agriculture center, we were able to discover that we have less than 10% youth participation in agriculture in Anambra State. But today, it is all over there. Once you go to the e-control center, you can see that today we have registered not less than 30% youth participation. And it shows as the older people are leaving agriculture, the young ones are going into agriculture, and we are still on track.
Women are not left out. And this state government, under this dispensation, is training the women, the youths, the extension services providers, the big-time farmers, all inclusive.
The state government is participating in World Bank-sponsored FADAMA project, Rufin, IFAD-assisted Value Chain Development Project, and Islamic Development Bank-sponsored National Program for Food Security, NPFS. These projects also provide input supports to small-scale farmers.
We've got various programs that we engage in the state, and those are like World Bank and IFAD-sponsored, African Development sponsored programs. We've got the FADAMA, which is a World Bank funded program. We've got Value Chain, it's an IFAD sponsored program. We've got ATAPS one, it's an African Development Bank sponsored program. We've got Rufin. Rufin is a IFAD sponsored program as well. Now, these programs are designed to focus more on smallholder farmers. And the way it's been designed is designed to be a demand-driven program, community-based development program.
FADAMA project has found a synergy with the Obiano administration through the improvement in mechanization. Okay, we've supported thousands of farmers, through the use of assets. Instead of using manual hands to trade their rice, we provide them with threshers. The governor is so passionate with irrigation because he said one of his major vision is to achieve multiple production cycles in a year. So that while other states are doing one cycle, Anambra can do 3. As we speak, some of the irrigation projects, the one in Ifitogwari and Obaru, are about to be commissioned because they're about ready.
In addition, the CBN's Anchor Borrowers Program has equally started, and this will help reduce commodity importation and conserve external reserves by facilitating emergence of a new generation of farmers and entrepreneurs. Many farmers can access credit facilities for agricultural ventures.
The Central Bank Governor has agreed to give us additional 5 billion for all lending to our farmers. This is because in your cooperatives you have done very well. You are very serious about what you are doing. You are very serious about feeding Anambra and beyond. And it is in tandem with the policy of the federal government to grow food to feed everybody, so that we'll stop importing food. And we can achieve that, and we have already started in the right direction.
We thank you because you are the real patriots of Nigeria. For agreeing to join this campaign to grow rice, you are making Nigeria great. You are saving us money, you are creating jobs, and you are guaranteeing food. We want to thank your governor. He invited us to come and see. We have seen, and we shall be back.
The future looks bright in Anambra State, as many more products would find their way outside the shores of the state and country. The agricultural sector will continue to experience a paradigm shift because of the solid foundation being laid by the administration of Governor Willie Obiano. Having made a vision plain, Mr. Afam Mbanefo ran with it, revitalizing a system so critical to the survival of mankind: agriculture.
Honestly, the governor and the commissioner for agriculture They've left serious mark on the sand of times. They've done wonderfully well.
Now, one of the things I love about this administration is the fact that they are not gender biased or religion biased. For example, I am from Kogi State, based in Delta State. But because I could offer quality service that they needed, they came for me. That is a plus in this country. That an Igbo man can go as far as Kogi State to pick someone who can give him quality service that he deserves. I really applaud this administration for that.
The Green Revolution in Anambra State is indeed a model for Nigeria. It is as a result of vision, passion, belief, hard work, and sheer determination to bring about sustainable growth and better life for Indian Anambra. One true mark of a leader is his or her ability to source competent minds and delegate responsibility to them. Governor Willie Obiano is a master at this. In transforming a once moribund agric ministry into its present enviable status, he sought for the right man with the capacity and brilliance to drive the Green Revolution. One who would help him build a lasting foundation on which the first pillar of his administration would stand.
The real truth is that he employs you based on the skill set he believes you have. I don't know him from Adam. He interviewed me and thought I was suitable for the job, and he gave me the job. And he's ever been supportive to make sure that I drive the sector as it should be. And he's always been very encouraging. He's always obviously very resolute as to what he wants as a chief executive, and the direction at which he wants to move and the pace at which he wants to move. And he tells you to go and make mistake and we'll correct it. That's the quality of a good leader that you wouldn't want to miss out.
Little wonder that the Ministry of Agriculture under Mr. Afam Mbanefo garner lots of national and international awards, a testament to the visible impact of Governor Willie Obiano's meritorious achievements in agriculture. Anambra State is now socially stable and a business-friendly environment, attracting both indigenes and foreigners to seek wealth-creating opportunities. Anambra State. We produce our food and also feed others. As the light of the nation, we will hold out the torch as a beacon, illuminating the path for others towards national development for a greater Nigeria.
Obiano remember our flag, green, white, green. So that green, he put it, and that green is that this farming now we are doing now. Cultivating rice everywhere, so we are not lacking anything at all.
Putting smiles on the faces of Indian Anambra is the heartbeat of the Obiano administration. And in years to come, Anambra would see nothing but further growth and advancement because Willie is working.